So, good afternoon. Welcome to our last session of this really fantastic PHAIDRAcon. So, I'm from the University of Vienna, and this is the first time that we hand over it to Padua, and our colleagues from the library here at the Padua University had done really a great job to host this PHAIDRAcon and also align a very nice program. And for this, we are now going on with the program. It's for me an honor to introduce you two colleagues from the University of Foscari. So it's Agata di Raimondo and Linda Spinazzè. I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong. They are both in the digital library, and they had a talk now for conservation, accessibility, and public engagement, a digitalization path. Thank you. Please.
Thank you, Raman. Good afternoon. Today we will talk about our collection in PHAIDRA, focusing in particular if it's true that some of our collections can be considered as part of the third mission activities. Looking at this year's PHAIDRAcon call for speakers, it seems that the academic use of the platform is often taken for granted, rather than its role in knowledge transfer. At Foscari, we recognize both purposes. However, between the two, our main goal in creating collection is cultural, both preservation and enhancement of our heritage. And this enhancement already implies the idea of bringing out universities' heritage beyond the academic sphere, to share it with as many users as possible. I would even say in an almost indiscriminate way. In other words, dissemination. This approach encourages us to search for unique and engaging objects and topics, not found on other platforms, that can spark curiosity and become genuine opportunities for research and enrichment for the community, including both internal and external users. Let's take a brief overview of our collection. These are our main collection. As you know, the collection follows a tree structure. So within each of them, there are multiple sub-collections. Conservation and valorization. Our first collection, History of Foscari, was created in 2014 in preparation for the celebration of the 150th anniversary of the university, 1868-2018. For the occasion, we digitized and made publicly available a series of publications that document the early years of Foscari history, as well as accounts of important events, sometimes also captured in photographs, that involved not only the university, but the entire city of Venice. One example is the visit of King Vittorio Emanuele III during the Science Convention in 1937. So, our first collection is a celebrative one, dedicated to the history of the university since its foundation. Its main goal is the promotion and accessibility of cultural heritage, both within the university community and the local community of Venice. It's worth noting that our digitized materials have provided first-hand sources for many scholars and researchers, leading to several academic publications on the topic. This collection ensures the long-term preservation of materials that had never been digitized before, unique and original information. Over time, the number of our collection has grown, and they have become increasingly diverse in nature. We can group them into three main areas. The historical and cultural collection, which we have just seen. The original contribution created by our faculty members who specialize in specific fields. For example, Professor Crescimarrone in epigraphy, and by our researcher. And of course, we all know how important concepts such open science are. Third area, the exhibition-related collections. Just as we hold significant events for the past, we have created a collection dedicated to contemporary events, to document initiatives promoted by Foscari on special occasions or for time-limited projects. One example is the collection dedicated to Holocaust Remembrance Day, which Linda will tell you about later. Among these event-related materials are also the temporary exhibition curated by the Historical Collection Unit, organized for special occasion and requiring a considerable effort in sourcing materials, conducting historical research, setting up the displays and promoting them through brochure, posters, and dedicated web pages on Foscari website. These efforts would otherwise be lost once the exhibition ends. The FEDRA SBA Events Collection, and in particular the sub-collection Discover the Library Heritage, preserves the memory and documentation of these temporary initiatives as well.
Yes, I will try to better expose how we push to use FAIDRA to do the real temporary exhibitions. The Discover the Library Heritage is the collection where to put together the documents linked to the exposition curated by the Librarian system. In this collection, we store all the materials created for the exhibitions, flyer, poster, eventually presentation. Here, for example, you can see the objects collected for the exhibitions made in 2033-44 in Humanistic Library. Usually here the exhibition are about authors like Italo Calvino or authority of a special collection stored in our shelves, for example, Aldo Camerino. In this library space, there are 3 display cabinets and a monitor for a video presentation. So, for this kind of exhibition, we archive the promotional poster, the third one, the published test description presenting the site, a sort of exhibition path, and the presentation in PowerPoint that runs in the monitor above the exhibition case. Here, for example, the video presentation around the Venetian journalist Aldo Camerino. In these cases, we cannot publish digitized books because the authors are relatively recent, so we don't have the rights. But we have different cases. Usually the exhibition organized in the hall of Foscari Palace in collaboration with Foscari Archive and Foscari Tour deal with very different topics. Here you see the location with 2 showcases. Current exhibition is Foscari and its University Theatre. Here you have the poster exposed near the cabinet where there is the QR to access exhibition path in audible format. There is also a book of interest under the glass. The book in question is also available for a complete digital use in Phaidra thanks to QR code that we have put near the real book. Another example, the second book of Navigazione et Viaggi by Ramusio contains Milione by Marco Polo. This is one of the rare books of our historical collection that we have digitized before the exposition hosted in Ca' Foscari last year, between September and December 2044, the year devoted to Marco Polo. As you can see, directly from the web page, the item has a relationship with an historical page. In 1871 report on Ca' Foscari, there is the witness that the book is already inside the historical collection of Regia Scuola of Ca' Foscari. And then the link to the new flyer 2044 of the exposition, where the book was inserted into a storytelling about the commercial interest of Regia Scuola to gather other books or documents. So, the underlying hypothesis is that allowing a visitor to browse digitally a statically displayed book will pique their curiosity, subsequently encouraging deeper engagement with Phaidra's broader collections and related themes. It remains essential, however, to evaluate whether this display strategy effectively achieves its intended objective. How can we measure the success of this?
We can measure this thanks to Matomo, an open-source web analytics platform that allows us to monitor website traffic. It was chosen by the University of Padua team to analyze usage statistics, user behavior, and the other metrics within the Phaidra platform. Matomo is in itself an excellent tool, fully complete with the GDPR, European Union's General Data Protection Regulation. However, it provides statistics for the entire Phaidra website as a whole. From the pie chart, we can see that Ca' Foscari collections are significantly fewer in number compared to those of Padua. For this reason, a tool like Page Overlay, which allows you to view usage statistics directly on the website, retards very low percentages for our collection, and this is just at the collection level. When we try to obtain usage data for a single page, which usually belongs to a specific collection or more often to a sub-collection, the process becomes even more complicated because the PID from Ca' Foscari Padua and other institutions are all mixed together. Clarify this point. Let's now take a look at Ca' Foscari statistical data. First of all, we try to highlight our main collection by running searches for Ca' Foscari. In this slide, you can see the growth of Ca' Foscari's collection from 2020 to 2024. We chose these 2 years because 2020 was a very particular year due to the COVID pandemic emergency, which led to an exponential increase in the use of online resources. And 2024 is the most recent full year for which we have complete data. Using the Page Overlay tool, we highlighted the usage percentages of all our collection over the past year. It emerged that the most frequently visited collections are History of Ca' Foscari and SBA events, both dedicated to the promotion of our library and cultural heritage. Through the raw evolution feature, which allows the trend of statistical data over a selected period of time, we tried to understand the evolution of these two collections, history of Foscari and SBA events, both in the short and the long term. As I mentioned earlier, the graphs showing the last 10 years of data for history of Foscari reveals a peak in 2017-2018, corresponding to the 150th anniversary celebration at the university. Our digitization work during that period was used as the basis for several publications on the subject, meaning that it is directly supported study and research activities within the university community. For similar reasons, the SBA events collection also shows a peak in 2017-2018. However, unlike the previous collection, whose curves remain relatively stable in the following years, the events collection displays a short-term increase in the most recent years. This trend becomes even clearer when we look more closely at the data. We therefore decided to deepen out the analysis to comparing the last 12 months, as shown in next slide.
Yes. Here we compare the raw evolution of the same collections, history of Foscari and events, in the last 12 months. We might expect, in correspondence with the new exhibition, January, February, and July, an increase in the number of Phaidra views, with explicit references in the showcases. But is that really the case? We need to make a more specific analysis of a single object because the collection cannot give us a correct view. As we have seen before, the space in the hall of Foscari is always occupied by 2 showcases for exhibition. In a year, we added 2 exhibitions with the collaboration of the archive for the contents and the Foscari tour for the dissemination. From January to June, the first exhibition is typically linked to themes near the Holocaust Remembrance Day. So, this year the exhibition deals with partisan alumni in Foscari. In order to introduce the theme, we showed under the glass the yearbook 1943-1947, but we also suggested reading it online in Phaidra. In Matomo, looking at the behavior for the title page entries, we have to say that Annuario was effectively one of the most visited Phaidra items inside the Foscari collection in the range period January-June 2025. We have 30 direct views of the page. If we click on the icon transition, we have also a vision of behavior of who visited the page. In our case, we can see that usually who visited the Annuario page navigate inside the Annuario in entrance and in exit too. At the end, we have here a panoramic view of this specific visit in the period of time. We see that effectively the end of January is the period with more visits of the page, and here the range date is 1931 January. So we can say that probably the push to visit some Phaidra page directly from the object works. But we are talking about a number of digital visitors that is really trifling, 6 people in some cases, 12 people in case of collection. So this is the time for final reflection. The conservation and accessibility of the materials in all our collection are fully ensured. However, the same cannot be said for public engagement, especially for those collections, such as event-based ones, that do not generate the level of interest or the numbers of visitors we would expect. So, we probably need to think of new ways to promote our work. Perhaps Foscari's guided tours are not persuasive enough. Our topics may not be engaging enough, and the strategy we use may not have enough impact. The academic use of PHAIDRA platform, on the other hand, clearly proves to be successful. When we look at their overall usage of the site, we see that its educational use is both consistent and valuable. So students and researchers remain the ideal users. However, PHAIDRA might not be the most suitable tool to achieve the goals of a third mission. The platform lacks the necessary intuitiveness and visual appeal, and it doesn't offer the level of interactivity required to attract and sustain the interest of a broader non-academic audience. For instance, it would be extremely interesting if our team could implement the triple F technology for images, a feature that will greatly enhance our user can interact with digital objects and make the experience on PHAIDRA more compelling. Other limitations concern the lack of integration with the social media tools, such as Instagram, for example, which could help broaden our outreach. In conclusion, from our perspective, the convergence of the three key elements, conservation, accessibility, and public engagement, remains an objective yet to be fully realized. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the great presentation and also the good outcome what you have done with working intensely with the data and the usage of data. That was very impressive what you have done the last years. Are there any questions?
But it's a kind of personal view about PHAIDRA and public engagement. PHAIDRA per se is not the instrument, the right tool for public engagement, I think. This is what we are talking about today, all the day, is also this. Without saying it, we are also saying that we have to take measures to make full use of the objects we archive in PHAIDRA, bring them and use them in third mission activities, public engagements, not necessarily on PHAIDRA platform. For example, Vorarlberg uses PHAIDRA, but as a database, as a repository, but not for exposing, for the diffusion of their documents. We in Padua use a software for virtual exhibitions, Movio, but via PHAIDRA APIs can catch objects from PHAIDRA and insert them in a more narrative context, more useful maybe for first-time visitors, for
yes,
the wide, yes, broader public, I don't know. So this is part of the discussion that wasn't said here, and it's good that you talked about it. In my introduction, you weren't here, sorry. In my introduction, I said maybe we should think also at the semantics, the information architecture of PHAIDRA, how do we guide the first-time visitor, the non-academia visitor to find to discover our collections. But that said, one fact is to remember that PHAIDRA was not born for this aim, for this end. It was born for long-term digital collections.
Yeah.
So you have to mediate. You have to to use tools that mediate from one tool to another tool to the citizen. This is my point of view.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So, just also more or less a question which is not answered now. It's also more a point of interest also from the point of view of PHAIDRA. I have a similar view on PHAIDRA as Gianluca, that it's more a back-end tool and more for organizing the things. But the question is also, for me now, you have done a lot of work in seeing how to work with this, how to engage the public with PHAIDRA, and also have this connection with the QR code for special. So the question for me is also which kind of tools or which kind of functionality would help you in the future. So this would be also a very nice and good feedback for us to improve, to improve PHAIDRA for the future, and also help you with outreaching to a broader audience.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.